This original WSRE presentation is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
A milestone birthday. WSRE Television celebrating its 50th anniversary on this edition of inStudio. On September 11th, 1967, WSRE began its life as a broadcast television station. But perhaps more importantly, it began laying the foundation to establish itself as a respected and valuable member of the Northwest Florida community. WSRE was an early member station of PBS, but so much of the station's influence is rooted in its local and educational programming. Much has changed over 50 years, from technology to the on-air personalities. But WSRE's mission to serve the community has remained a constant. On this edition of inStudio, we look back over 50 years, the people, the programs, and the technology that has made WSRE what it is today. Throughout our program, you'll be introduced to a variety of personalities who have influenced WSRE television. Sandy Cesaretti began her television career in 1995 as development director for WSRE. She became the station's general manager in 2000, a position she held until last year, before becoming Associate Vice President for Government and Community Relations for Pensacola State College, a position that continues to keep her involved with WSRE's operations. Bob Culkeen has a rich and accomplished history in public broadcasting. He has served in a variety of operational and leadership roles at PBS member stations around the country, including Gainesville and Jacksonville, Florida, and most recently, Urbana, Champaign, Illinois. Bob is currently the general manager of WSRE, a position he has held since 2016. Kasey Jones is WSRE's Station Administrative Coordinator, a role which involves many of the operational aspects key to making the station a success. In addition, she has become the station's historian and curator, organizing and researching WSRE's history. Thank you all for being with us. This is going to be a fun show. I'm going to begin with you, Kasey. You are the historian here. How did it all start?
All right, well, it actually started before we went on air in 1967. Well, you can roll back a little bit. The federal government, Federal Communications Commission, was thinking about educational television and ways to educate the public. So they wanted to designate different stations around the country to serve that purpose. And so in 1963, the PTA of Ferry Pass Junior High got together and they said, let's create something here, and they got some TV equipment and did some, teachers got together and they started creating educational
content,
right, classes for the kids. And then it evolved in actually PJC at the time decided, hey, we want some college classes to be taught on television. So as the wheels got turning and everyone started getting on board, federal and state dollars started becoming available. And so actually Governor Askew was a senator at the time, right, and he helped get the funding for the station to be built on Pensacola Junior College campus. And actually our first building was in the registration center, what is now today the registration center in Building 2. So we've since moved here, but on the other side of campus, the Culkeen Center for Telecommunications. But that's where we got started. Our educational television.
It's changed an awful lot. And speaking of that first building, I want to share a video clip that we have from one of the early general managers. Here's Eric Smith and what he had to say about that old building.
In December of '66, they moved into the brand new building here on campus. And one thing that was unique about this for Pensacola, this was the first public television facility constructed to be a public television facility. All of the rest of the stations that were much older than us around the state had moved into a Kaiser Frazier dealership, World War II chow hall, underneath a stadium, an old hotel. So we were fortunate that we were in a building built for television.
And of course, the building is really built for television these days. Sandy, you came in at a crucial time as things were beginning to transition not only for WSRE television as an independent entity, but also just the broadcasting business in general. Take me back to your early days.
Thank you. I mean, it's been a fabulous ride. So in 1995, when I came, the building was pretty much just barely a year old. And through the vision and engagement of then General Manager Alan Pizzato, Pensacola Junior College, then Pensacola State College today, the administration, they saw the opportunity to take a station that was so innovative and develop it not only technologically into a new building, but to provide an opportunity to enhance the services that WSRE provided to the entire Gulf Coast.
Bob, you've been in the industry for a long time. What was appealing about WSRE? Why did you leave the Illinois market to come here? What was it that made it attractive besides the weather?
Nothing to do about salt water or anything like that. One of the greatest things that appealed to me is, Sandy. I've known Sandy, Eric Smith, Alan Pizzato. They're great people. And in your opening dialogue, you talked about building upon a foundation. I have the opportunity to build upon a great foundation with a great staff. And that was really what attracted me here, the opportunity to work with people that I've respected over the years. I've known Eric Smith for 20 years plus, and Sandy for a long time because I was involved with another Florida public broadcast station. Right. So the quality of WSRE up in the Panhandle was something that was understood and respected, and it really attracted me to come down here.
Kasey, as you were doing your research, I mean, you've worked around here for several years, but as you were doing the research and digging back through things, what most impacted you? What were you most surprised about, or what did you go, wow, that's pretty cool?
I think it's mostly, public television started on the educational base and has continued all the way through. The educational element is just in all the television programs that you see and all the children's program. It's incorporated in the curriculum, and the public television genre is catered to not only just informing students of how to learn, but training teachers to also be able to use television as a resource in the classroom. And that started from the earliest days of providing educational, television in the classrooms and then bringing it.
Interesting you mentioned it. Jill Hubbs will be on a little bit later on, and she does an awful lot with education, and we'll get more into the details with her. But Sandy, from a 10,000-foot level, once you took over as general manager, how important was it that you engage this broadcast facility with local education, and what are you most proud of?
Oh gosh, that's a tough question. I'm most proud, and I think Bob alluded to it, to the teams that have been at WSRE and the people that have brought WSRE and everything that it stands for in this community to life. I mean, I think it's just been a fabulous team. We've had a great board, a great community, and I think there was a need at that time, for public television to reach out into the community and to provide different types of services. And Kasey alluded to the education and the educational component. And it's true. I mean, over 60% of our broadcast time, early learning education, but all of our programming, lifelong learning. But as you looked at different niches within the community that WSRE could reach out and connect people, we did. And we served a huge mission. So during the time that I had the great privilege of being a part directly of WSRE, whether it was taking it from an analog environment to going into a digital environment, building a 2,000-foot tower and taking our board and watching our engineers create new technology and what that new technology would mean to the viewers. Yeah. I mean, think back 15 years ago or 16 years ago or 17 years ago when we were saying what WSRE could be. Right. What it could be, what television could be. And you were talking about a digital environment where a single box could evolve and involve a life. And now it does.
Talk about that transition from analog to digital.
Oh, goodness.
I think it was like a 10-year process.
It was a long time. We were an innovator. You know, the great thing about WSRE, and one of our engineers used to laugh and say, you know, the great thing about WSRE is we are innovators, and we are sometimes on the bleeding edge. And we were definitely on the bleeding edge of the transition. We were the second in the state of Florida, maybe 32nd, 34th in the nation to actually convert. And at that time, the FCC, we were given a window. You know, we thought we would have a year or two, you know, to convert. And the technology, the process, and converting an entire nation ended up being a 10-year process. Bob, is that about right, as opposed to a year or two? So we were broadcasting analog and digital for a long period of time. But the building was built to support both an analog environment and a digital environment and bring the two together. And actually, that's what we did.
Bob, what has that digital conversion done for WSRE?
Well, you think about the analog day, you had one channel. WSRE, Channel 23, serving this public in a way that it did in such a fine manner. Now, when it went to digital, it went to 4 different channels. Right. You had your high definition channel and 3 SD channels. And when we produce programs today, we think about another platform. We think about the digital platform. So when our producers sit down and they start talking about what we want to do, what we want to create for Pensacola, the local part of what we want to do, is we plan not only for that broadcast element, but for that digital element. It brings in a different dimension. So you can see it go from a single analog to 4 streams, and now we have not only those 4 streams, we have that digital platform that we plan for. So the technology is exploding. We have to think about the mobile devices, and the handheld devices.
The robust website, the interactivity, the interconnectivity that the digital platform brings.
It's not just about that single stick anymore. It's about delivering it anywhere people can be. You know?
But I do think what is interesting, and a lot of people forget, is that you can still receive this station over the air with an antenna, and not just this station, but also the WSRE World and
PBS Kids.
Yeah, and so the quality is extremely high.
Absolutely.
In fact, maybe better than what it would be on cable television because it's not compressed. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm playing shade tree engineer here, but we won't get into that.
Engineers would be proud of you, Jeff. You were probably part of the transition team when we got together to explain the conversion from analog to digital to our viewers.
Well, let's just say I've been around long enough. I remember analog. So anyway.
When Kasey was talking about the classroom, black and white educational television, Kasey, you brought me back to a day when I was sitting in a classroom when I was in 3rd grade. You know, I saw all that and I said, boy, I had a television. PBS had an impact on me way back then too.
Absolutely. So. Learning, creating curiosity, making a difference.
We're going to bring the two of you back later in the broadcast and talk a little bit more about what the future is going to look like. Thank you so very much for being with us in this first segment. Kasey will continue to stick around. When we come back, we'll look at some of WSRE's most recognizable local programs, past and present, as we celebrate WSRE's 50th anniversary. You're watching inStudio on WSRE Television, PBS for the Gulf Coast.
I'm Dave Pavlock, and back in the 1970s, I served as host of WSRE's Open Forum program. At that time, I was a news reporter for WCOA Radio, but I was glad to volunteer my time to the area's newest public television station. Open Forum was a live public affairs show, and it originated in black and white before WSRE started broadcasting in color. On the program, we spoke with newsmakers, local and state officials, noteworthy personalities, and area citizens. Public television provided the opportunity to discuss ideas and convey information in depth, and to do so in an objective and balanced way. I enjoyed my time with WSRE back in the day, and think it's appropriate that the station's 50th anniversary coincides with those of 3 other Pensacola institutions, UWF, Seville Quarter, and the Snowball Derby. I offer my congratulations to WSRE on 50 years of broadcasting.
If you value local programs that enlighten and empower viewers to make a difference, then tell us. Pledge your support for WSRE and be more.
what can we do when we're in the Pensacola area? What can we do in Northwest Florida? What can we do in South Alabama?
People have the opportunity to go down 3 levels.
I'm Sherry Hemminghouse-Weeks, and I host a show called In Your Own Backyard. I get to share amazing stories with incredible viewers about a place that I love. And it highlights all kinds of area attractions, historic sites. We cover so many vast and different things. Sponsors want people to know about that too. And so that's why it's important to have the viewer support and also the corporate support, because they're only promoting and helping their communities all the way around. It's a privilege, and I'm so excited to be able to do it.
If you value local programs that don't just educate, but enlighten and empower viewers to make a difference, then tell us. Pledge your support for WSRE now and be more.
Celebrating WSRE's 50th anniversary on this edition of inStudio. Thank you so very much for coming along as we look back over a half a century of broadcasting to the Gulf Coast. Although WSRE is a PBS member station, so much of what we do involves local programming, connecting with the community and bringing the essence of the Gulf Coast to the television airwaves. Over the years, many of the local shows have become staples in the community. To help us look back, we're joined by 2 longtime WSRE employees. Donna Lymons has been with WSRE for 3 decades. She began her career as a student working in the production department. She would go on to move into master control operations. Brent Burton began with WSRE in 1985, working in production, master control, and now serving as traffic manager. And we're continued to be joined by Kasey Jones, WSRE's station administrative coordinator, historian, and curator. Donna, I'm going to begin with you. I'm holding in my hand a book by Earl Peru, who was probably, and perhaps maybe still, one of the most recognizable personalities on WSRE television. Tell me about that show, Gourmet Cooking.
It was a wonderful show. Earl was easygoing and very dry sense of humor. And as you notice in the picture, there's a glass of wine. So. Yeah. Earl would sometimes, not during the show, but before, he'll have a little sip, to kind of ease into it. And it was just a wonderful time. And we enjoyed learning, because Earl would like to also tell you about the dish, because he didn't just he did French, Spanish, seafood, different countries of food, and he liked you asking him questions after the show or whatever. And he enjoyed it. He just enjoyed cooking, and he enjoys sharing his knowledge.
Wasn't this a national show as well at one time, produced here in Pensacola? Kasey, tell me about that.
So Earl Peru started in 1977, and it became a national syndicated program in 1982, and then ran through the 90s, early 90s.
And I believe we've actually broadcasted some here again in recent years, haven't we? Some of the vintage shows, Brent?
Yes, as recently as 2015, 2016, we had it on our air as part of our WSRE Classics series, and aired it on Saturday mornings with our regular cooking programs, and it's quite popular. And episodes are available online on WSRE.org, so you can go and see them for yourself. And I can honestly say I've got a couple of those cookbooks myself, and it's amazing when you prepare a dish from that cookbook, and it's suddenly you remember. I remember smelling this in the studio when Earl did it. In my case, 30 years ago. It's just like it all comes back, and it's. Yeah, he was a real delight to work with, and we loved eating the food.
I bet. Who were some of the other memorable personalities the two of you worked with over the years?
Well, of course, I wouldn't be here actually after all these years if not for Shirley Aronson, who was the. She started off, I believe, as a reporter back when WSRE had a nightly newscast, which was a little before my time. But her husband, Dr. David Aronson, is an area veterinarian, and my wife, Melissa, she mentored under him back in the day. And she introduced me to Dr. Aronson and his wife, Shirley. And Shirley said, "Oh, you're in broadcasting," because I was working in radio and television elsewhere when we moved here. And he said, "You should call him over at WSRE. You should go down there. They'll hire anybody there. So, and proof is in the pudding there. But Shirley was just a remarkably talented interviewer. She was tough as nails on the set, and very. She and was not intimidating. She had a lot of very famous people on her show. She did, in addition to Open Forum, which was a weekly call-in community affairs program. She also did a interview show very similar to your Conversations program called Sounding Off.
Okay.
And or Sounding Out, excuse me. And she would invite guests on the show. She used to get a lot of people who would come in for the old Tiger Bay Luncheon Speaker Series. A lot of famous personalities. One show in particular I remember very well was William F. Buckley.
Oh, yeah.
And she had fun with William F. Buckley. They were pretty much diametrically opposed politically. Yeah. And she held no quarter. She would do a great job. And real briefly, I want to tell a quick story about Shirley. I had an occasion to meet Dick Cavett, who is actually related to, by marriage to someone here in Pensacola. He was in town for a family function. And it happened to be at the place where Shirley and Dave Aronson are living, Azalea Trace Assisted Living Facility. And I had the pleasure of introducing Dick Cavett to Shirley Aronson recently. And I told Dick Cavett, I said, the moment that she came in here, you became the second best interviewer in this room. So,
that's great.
Shirley got a kick out of that.
I bet. Donna, who do you remember that impressed you, left an impression upon you?
I'm going to say program-wise, we used to do high school football.
Okay.
And I remember Emmett Smith in high school at Escambia High School. Yeah. And I'm not a football fan, but I knew back then this child especially, he's going to be somebody and do something. Yeah. So to think that Emmett started out with WSRE airing high school football of the week and seeing Emmett Smith start out in high school, and then now you see him, he went through the professional field and now Dancing with the Stars. So but you knew back then Emmett was going to be special.
Something special. And I think Dan Shugart, who of course is a longtime sports director over at the ABC affiliate WEAR here in town, I believe was one of the announcers for some of the sporting events that occurred, including high school football. You know, interesting enough, talking about the consistency that WSRE has built over time and being involved in the community and just really, tackling important issues and topics. The AWARE program is something I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is the longest running monthly program on WSRE.
Currently, yes.
Yeah. How did that come about?
It's actually a program that started out from the college. So Dr. Gail Frazier, who's at Pensacola State College, is the producer. And she got it started, and Dee Dee Sharp has been on it consistently for the last 25 years. So. And
Dee Dee also had another host with her at the very beginning, and that was William Jackson, who was a sportscaster for another network.
Well, William, he worked at WEAR too. I know William well. He was a great guy and a lot of fun.
So it started out as two and now.
I had forgotten that William was involved in that. That's really cool. Let me talk about some of the other personalities that have been on through the years and just kind of get you guys to give us a little feedback and your thoughts on them. Lloyd Patterson is somebody that was on the airwaves for many years.
Oh yes, worked with Lloyd many times throughout 2004, and during Hurricane Ivan, Lloyd was the man never stopped working during those few weeks in the aftermath of that. Of course, we were off the air without power for a great deal of the time immediately after the storm, but once we got up, once we were able to get our generator going and get power, we started hosting. Lloyd would host a nightly program live, sometimes for an hour or two a night, for about 10 consecutive nights, I think it was, connecting the community. And ultimately that became a half-hour show, a regular weekly show, once again for community affairs. But the idea was to bring people in that could address the issues that were raised as a result of Ivan. We had people from State Farm Insurance, we had people from FEMA, we had people from Gulf Power there to answer questions, to try and allay people's fears, you know, and to give a really good taste of what's going to happen next, how long will it be before this area gets power back, that sort of thing. And I think we really served the public interest during that period. That was, really made me proud to be a part of that.
Yeah, Lloyd was a good newsman, and I think has a pretty impressive pedigree in the local news business.
He was,
I believe, working out of
consummate professional
San Francisco,
too. He was a great guy to work with.
Tell me about Dr. Bill Bennett, Donna.
Dr. Bennett. Another person who had a dry sense of humor, and to see Earl and Dr. Bennett, because a couple of times we'd do a production together. Dr. Bennett just knew everything about plants, and that was his passion, plants. I passed by his house one time, and it looked like a workshop with the landscape. He was working on plants, and he loved it. When the show was over with, you ask him questions, even though, he'd been on for 30 minutes or an hour, whatever, depending on what the length of the show was at that time. He would stay and answer all these questions about the different plants or whatever, and he enjoyed it. He really did. And then he shared his plants, because I have a tangerine tree now that Dr. Bennett gave me, and also I have another orange tree that Dr. Bennett gave me, because he loved plants and he loved sharing.
I'm getting short on time in this segment. I want to stay with you for just a moment here. You've been here for a long time. What's been your favorite part about being involved with WSRE television?
The different people, the different personalities. We've had some pretty good people around here. Remember Frank Gardner? I started out with Frank Gardner. He was an engineer in master control. Frank started out as a janitor. And what had happened was, back in that time in the 70s, early 70s, it needed 2 engineers to get the station on air, analog air. Well, one of the engineers was there that morning, but it took 2. And Frank, who was the janitor, said, I can help. And he said, what do you mean? Frank was there, he helped, brought the station up, and later on, the chief engineer said, you need to take classes in engineering. I'll work with you. You need to be an engineer, not a janitor. And Frank was just one of those people who was giving. Frank would get a workbook or whatever when we had new equipment. And Frank would sit there or stand there and just learn the equipment, and then he would share the knowledge with you. And he would tell you what he learned.
Great.
That's just one of those people, just one of those kind of people that were in the station. He's just one of them.
Thank you so very much for spending some time with us.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best. We are going to continue celebrating WSRE's 50th anniversary on this edition of inStudio. When we come back, a look at the documentaries and concerts produced by WSRE and the role the station plays in educating children. inStudio continues after this short break. This is WSRE Television, PBS for the Gulf Coast.
From its beginning in our registration center to its current state-of-the-art facility in the Culkeen Center, WSRE has been a center of excellence on our Pensacola campus for the last half-century. Through the years, Pensacola State College has supported WSRE's mission of providing high-quality, non-commercial educational television. I personally support our PBS station because WSRE presents the best of history, science, culture, and public affairs, as well as award-winning children's programs that promote early learning in engaging and innovative ways. And our local programs focus on issues and events that are important to this region. Congratulations to WSRE on its 50th anniversary.
If you value local programs that enlighten and empower viewers to make a difference, then tell us. Pledge your support for WSRE and be more.
When the lights come on for inStudio, I'm thinking about making a connection with you and you and you. My name is Ramika Vincent Leary. I have always wanted to make a difference in this world, from my days in television news to moving here to Florida, working at WSRE TV. As a host for inStudio, I know that I am one key element in that chain that brings about change in our society. We explore problems, we try to find solutions, from human trafficking to racial diversity to guardian ad litem. The list goes on and on. We have all these wonderful things that will be happening within the context of the show, and you're definitely going to have a takeaway or learn something. So I'm thinking about those individual connections when the lights come on.
If you value local programs that enlighten and empower viewers to make a difference, then tell us. Pledge your support for WSRE and be more.
We are celebrating WSRE's 50th anniversary on this edition of inStudio. Over the years, WSRE has earned accolades for documentaries on a wide variety of subjects, from baseball in Pensacola to the Gulf Island National Seashore. Likewise, the station has earned admiration and credibility for producing musical concerts featuring nationally known artists like John Tesh, Ethan Bortnick, and Ashley Brown. Brent Burton and Kasey Jones remain with us, and we're now joined by Jill Hubbs, who has been WSRE's Educational Content and Services Director since 1996. Jill has also produced several of WSRE's documentaries, including They Were Our Fathers, a documentary about children who lost a parent in the Vietnam War. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you. Thanks for asking me.
Let me begin with your role as Educational Director. What does that mean for WSRE?
You know, I left the classroom as a teacher to come to WSRE, and I was excited to be able to do that because it meant that I could work with lots of teachers and lots of students. And basically that is my role, to be the face of WSRE for the educational community, from preschoolers all the way through the college here. And, it's changed a lot over the years, too. Just the way education in the classroom is, but the way that WSRE interfaces with teachers and students in the school districts.
How do we do it today versus when you started? When
I first started, we had Campus of the Air. You could get your GED with distance learning, and and teachers also could come and check out programs that had aired on PBS on a videotape, or it would go through the courier. Now, it's available on demand online. So things have definitely changed. It was a much slower process. But teachers, and I, as a teacher, used the programs myself. I used Reading Rainbow as a classroom teacher because it was great content. It inspired kids to love reading and, build their vocabularies. And so teachers have always recognized the value of PBS programming. And it's just, it's changed over the years, but there's a lot more content now. Now we have PBS Learning Media, where teachers can get thousands of programs, segments or whole programs, all kinds of things that they can use in the classroom, lesson plans, all provided by PBS and WSRE.
And it's online.
And it's online, that's right.
Kasey, talk about those early days, though, when the station was reaching out through education.
Sure. So like Jill said, most everything in the early days was strictly on TV and distributed on a videotape. But it wasn't until 1989 when we actually started going out into the community and training daycare providers with the Sesame Street preschool education program. And that was a new initiative for PBS. The Culkeen Foundation was one of our main sponsors for that in 1993. And we were training teachers and then providing also, our shows on the air.
What, from an educational standpoint, what is the biggest impact you think we're having today?
We know all of the PBS educational programming is based on a curriculum, and it's based on national standards that teachers have to follow. And there's so much content, so that any subject that you can think of, there's something available. And now, not just programs to watch, but also lesson plans and documents, and just a wealth of things that are right at teachers' fingertips. and like Kasey was mentioning, the Sesame Street Pep, that was where we would bring teachers into the studio and show them like Sesame Street segments and how they could use that to help their students get ready for school. That transitioned into what was called a national program called PBS Ready to Learn. Ready to Learn was based on getting kids exactly that, ready to learn for school. So it was based on the 5 and under group. How could you use educational television that kids want to watch anyway, with the iconic characters that they love from Sesame Street or maybe Arthur or Clifford the Big Red Dog? How can you use those characters to help kids to engage them in wanting to learn? And so not only were the programs great, but they provided all kinds of content for teachers to use. And we went out in the community and did a lot of events with not just teachers, but also parents, child care providers, and just lifelong learners of all ages.
Talk about what we're doing with the Wahoos, with the Pensacola Blue Wahoos at the baseball stadium, and how we're engaging education there.
We have a place there called the Imagination Station, and it's at the stadium, but it's on the outside, and it is exciting for me because it's taking the PBS learning beyond the screen, not just watching television, but hands-on. It's a hands-on PBS Kids place, and it is kind of geared towards the 5 and under, the kids who are trying to get ready to learn. We have resources there for parents, for teachers. We have special groups that meet there, community groups like Autism Pensacola, a new parent support group from the Pensacola Naval Air Station, Early Steps. A lot of groups utilize that, and it's just a great place to take the PBS learning beyond the screen and hands-on, and to connect with the people who watch WSRE.
I'm going to switch gears here real quick because I mentioned in the intro into this segment that some of the other things that we do are very much focused on music and concerts and performances. Brent, talk about what we've done in that arena.
Well, we have been producing musical programs at WSRE for as long as WSRE has been on the air, just about. Back in the 80s, when I was first starting, we produced a number of programs we had an arts program that was sort of the predecessor of Aware that was called Sketches of You, which featured numerous musical performances, either in studio or we would actually go out and tape programs. There was a terrific program we did on bluegrass music that was out at the Big Lagoon State Park, which was an all-day affair. It's called Pickin' in the Park, which was hours of music that we produced live. We took our remote truck out there and actually produced it, shot it all over the park there because it was different things were going on all day long. It's the most tired I believe I've ever been in my life after the end of that shoot. Of course, now leading into, mentioned Aware, the number of musical performances that we've documented through Aware. And of course, our own studio amp, produced by the legendary Billy Harrell, here for WSRE, which we've been doing 10 seasons now of local musicians performing original music. That was always the key. We wanted to have an opportunity to get people to listen to what was going on in their community as far as the original local artists, that show has just gotten better and better. It's sort of an Austin City Limits Pensacola style, and as we've produced that show, it's gotten more like the original Austin City Limits to me in terms of sound quality and video production is terrific.
We've done some one-off productions as well with some nationally known artists. I mentioned Ethan Bortnick and of course Ashley Brown, who is from Pensacola, but clearly is nationally known and just loaded with talent. Kasey, talk a little bit about some of those programs.
Well, the reason why we can have those programs is we have the inStudio, and the inStudio was built in 2005. You know, it holds 500 people, so it's a classy place to have a concert, and so that's how we were able to have those types of concerts and studio amped. One of the cool things that I think I don't want to miss out on talking about is Jill was producing Zoom, which is local segments of children working in the community, volunteering and giving back. And Jill, you want to talk about that?
Well, some of our segments went national. We were able to feature kids, all over the community that were making a difference, and we submitted them to WGBH that produced Zoom, WGBH in Boston, and they picked several of our segments that aired during the national show. So that was exciting, to be able to showcase our community there.
One of the things that you have been very instrumental in it, which is an absolutely treasure for WSRE, is some of the great documentaries. Talk about those.
You know, a lot of those documentaries, I'm not really a producer or a documentarian, but it kind of led from outreach, you know, that we were doing, and it was the natural thing to do community outreach, to do outreach with programming too. And so we've done, when Ken Burns did the war, the national program, the war, we did several programs, Khaki Coast, Pensacola Veterans Memorial Park, and we did Gulf Coast War Memories. Honor Flight. We actually were on the inaugural Gulf Coast Honor Flight, taking World War II veterans to Washington, D.C. to see their memorial built in their honor. So we've done a lot of documentaries like that. Baseball in Pensacola, that was great to just not only to document how baseball has evolved in Pensacola, but there's a lot of Pensacola history too. And then Gulf Islands National Seashore, the treasure of the Gulf Coast. I loved doing that one. It was so much fun. We had to go to the beach and out to the national park all the time to film. But we were able to get Ken Burns, who did the National Parks documentary, we were able to get him to actually do the voiceover, the narration for that documentary. And
I know one very special and very close to your heart. They were our fathers. Talk about that briefly.
That is a program that I did because I am associated with a lot of kids who are now adults that grew up and lost their fathers in Vietnam. And because Ken Burns is doing the Vietnam series, the documentary series, I decided it would be something that, a story I wanted to tell, because it's part of my own personal story too. So that's a program that is being fed nationally. A lot of stations are picking it up, and we're real proud of that too. And to share the stories. The stories are important. They make a difference.
The documentaries have really been a jewel in the crown of WSRE. You've seen a lot of the good ones come through. What do you think's been the secret sauce, so to speak, to make the quality of documentaries that have come out of WSRE at a local level? What's the secret?
Well, obviously, this community has a lot to offer in terms of subject matter. We're blessed with that. But the production staff we've had is always been first rate. And I've got to say something. You mentioned the inStudio. We talk about a lot of the things that we've done, the performances. A lot of that has to do with the fact that there are people with vision who have not only steered the station in the right direction to pursue these sort of things, but we've gotten the support from the community, financial and otherwise, and also from the college to fund these sort of things. Our technical innovations we're sort of on what you call the bleeding edge at WSRE, in that we were the first station to go stereo back in the 80s. We were one of the first HD stations in this part of the country to start broadcasting in high definition. And having that sort of support from management here as well as from the community has been really the key.
Brent, thank you so very much. I know you're going to leave us after this segment here, but thank you so very much for your input. Wish you the very best of luck in your future endeavors here at WSRE. We are discussing WSRE's 50th anniversary on this edition of inStudio. When we come back, we'll talk about just how important viewers like you are to the past and continued success of WSRE. A look back at all that you have made possible and a peek into the future. This is WSRE Television, PBS for the Gulf Coast.
Hello, I'm Janie Stewart with WSRE. The Wine and Food Classic has been an important part of WSRE's 50-year history. The annual showcase of local chefs began in 1988 and is the premier fundraiser of the WSRE TV Foundation. Over the years, national celebrity chefs who have headlined the event have included Jacques Pepin, John Besh, and former White House executive pastry chef Roland Mesnier. This year we welcome Chef Lydia Bastianich from Lydia's Kitchen. In 2000, the Wine and Food Classic won the National Educational Telecommunications Association Award for the most innovative fundraising initiative. During my 20 years, the event has grown to include a full weekend of activities, with the annual walkabout tasting presented by local top chefs and a formal dinner featuring our celebrity guest chefs. As we celebrate our 50th anniversary, I would like to thank everyone who has helped make the Wine and Food Classic such a wonderful success each and every year. Happy anniversary, WSRE.
If you value local programs that enlighten and empower viewers to make a difference, then tell us. Pledge your support for WSRE and be more.
This is In Studio on WSRE Television, PBS for the Gulf Coast. We're discussing WSRE's 50th anniversary. You often hear the tagline, made possible by viewers like you. That statement is far from a slogan. It is a fact. Our generous viewers and supporters have allowed WSRE to be woven into the fabric of the Gulf Coast community and in turn provide quality educational, inspirational, and useful local and national programming to a broad audience. We're rejoined now by Sandy Cesaretti-Ray and Bob Culkeen. Kasey Jones and Jill Hubbs continue to stay with us as we discuss the impact you, our viewers and supporters, have had on WSRE over the years. Sandy, how important are our viewers?
Our viewers are very important because they're the reason why we exist. We exist to make a difference. You know, the mission at WSRE, and I think we all know it, we all live it, is to make a difference in the lives of the citizens of Northwest Florida. And we do it in countless different ways. We heard Jill talk about the educational services and the documentaries, the local connection. During times of crisis, you heard Brent talk about during Ivan, when the BP spill hit the area, you know, we reached out to the community. We were the connector during floods. We can't and could not provide the services and the programming without the viewers providing the support. And I would like to say, and I know a little bit later on we'll talk about the tremendous board that WSRE has had and the leadership that we've had on our foundation boards that have brought new and unique ways to raise money. The station's raised millions of dollars, and we've had lead gifts and champions and visionaries like the Culkeen family, who this building is named after, and of course the Amoses that saw an opportunity to bring this station a little bit larger in life to make a difference. We've had Pat Wyndham, we have Dick and
Phyllis Johnson,
Mike and Phyllis Johnson, Dick and Helen Eanes, you know, and Susan and John O'Connor, and all of the rooms in this building are named after people that truly believed that WSRE makes a difference in this community, fulfilling the mission. And whether it's the people that I've named or countless others, millions of dollars, as well as money from our state legislators and federal government that believe and support on the difference that a public television station and specifically WSRE has in this community.
Bob, talk a little bit about WSRE Foundation.
The WSRE Foundation is the driving force of our funding. You know, out there working with a number of different people asking for support. We have 22 active members right now on the board. Great community people serving in a way that is very unique. And you talk about a station that thinks of funding sources back in 95 is when it was started, incorporated. And, you know, they looked at it, how can we sustain public television and giving, and that's when it was incorporated. So it's really good.
One of the interesting things that they did, and this was cutting edge, particularly for a market this size, was going back to the old satellite truck.
Absolutely.
And I want to play a video clip here from one of the former general managers, Alan Pizzata, talking about that.
We created a foundation in order to help raise funds for WSRE and public broadcasting in Northwest Florida. And through that foundation, we raised the monies that helped us purchase a satellite uplink production truck combination so that we could leave the studios and do programs I remember us doing a program from right on Pensacola Beach. And we did programs from around the area. And that proved to be successful and started to get WSRE out more in the community.
Now, to give you an understanding of just what a big deal that was, when people would come in on a national level, they'd rent that truck, right?
Correct.
I mean, so not only was it good for WSRE, but it was also a revenue generator, correct?
Absolutely. And the impetus of forming the foundation and developing the foundation. So it was the first insights into creating additional revenue streams, and we also did fixed uplink. I mean, back in the day, and we were talking, about the fact that, we didn't talk about it back then, but, Scarborough Country kind of launched right here at WSRE, and it was a fixed uplink. It was uplinked to MSNBC, and nobody really knew it was happening right here at WSRE.
Yeah.
But so additional revenue sources.
And today we still have that uplink. We have that fixed uplink, and we also have IP. So we send it out over fiber. So we have two ways to get national content out of the station.
Yeah, the technology is really, really, really amazing. Jill, going back to the education thing for a minute, that's something that just really does bring the community together, and that's something that really people can really get behind. Talk a little bit about that and how you have seen the viewers and the community leaders support the role of education at WSRE.
That is true. We've got so many people who are supporters of the educational, not just the programs, but the outreach that we do, the events. And one of the things I'm most proud of is the partnerships that we've formed over the years with different businesses and organizations and individuals who all believe in our mission and want to help kids in our community or lifelong learners of all ages be the best they can be, to get ready for school, to to engage in and to be be empowered in learning. And, from just volunteers who might come into one of our events and maybe dress in a costume or pass out books to kids, to community organizations that partner with us to provide those kind of events and programs.
Kasey, as you did your research along the way, what did you find that was that made people in the community passionate and viewers want to get involved? What was the key? What was the driving force?
I think it's
the secret sauce.
The secret sauce. Well, Sandy, has been in development and, as general manager, been involved with the fundraising a lot in the past 25 years at the station. But I think it's like the menagerie of things that you can get from public television. You can get concerts and entertainment and drama and, children's programming. You can get a whole smorgasbord of things to pick from.
Something for everyone.
It really is, and we meant to talk about this in the last segment, but I'm going to talk about it now because this is extremely important. Let's talk about rally, and let's also talk about like legislative review. Right. Now, that's the kind of content that ordinarily would not be on a commercial broadcast network because of timing and costs and so on and so forth, but we've opened up the airwaves to do that. And that's a valuable resource, and both of you expand on it.
It helps the citizens have an upfront view of the representatives, the legislators, congressmen that are going to be impacting decisions that affect their life. And
I think they're great friends to the station, too. Yeah. They know they can count on us. They know that we're there to serve the community, and so are they. And so there's a commonality between what they need to do and what we're providing this community. We're a great window to the political world, and to tell the story and be mainstream, to be both sides of the aisle, to tell the truth. We're a trusted public resource.
Rated number one, most trusted resource.
Yeah. Well, for example, like on the legislative review, for example, I mean, I've had the opportunity to host on numerous occasions, and I know the legislators always look forward to coming in.
They do.
They do.
But what it does is it also allows the viewers and their constituents to be engaged and ask them questions and stuff. And that's kind of a unique thing that WSRE provides that ordinarily you would not get on commercial broadcasting.
Yeah, certainly not in depth and the amount of time and resource that is dedicated. And again, it's going back to the mission. How do you make a difference in the lives of the citizens in Northwest Florida? And whether it's programs of early education, lifelong learning, government, civics, arts, culture, a little bit of something for everyone. And I think public television and WSRE has done a great job of reaching out and partnering and shaking hands, bringing the folks in or, you know, being on air. I mean, we do different types of programs. I mean, we have the Public Square series.
That's right. Well, you think about all 4 segments that you've presented tonight. Some of the things that are common is mission-focused, service to others, quality. And, you know, when you look at the national content and you look at the local content, you cannot tell the difference. You know, it's a quality, local production that we put out there.
Absolutely.
Bob, in about 1 minute here, I want you, because you're now driving the train day to day, so to speak. So what does the future look like?
Well, I'm going to turn something around here on you.
Okay.
You've selected to work with us. You do a great job.
Thank you.
You know, what drives you to be here? What drives you to tell our story, to pull out the stories that you have tonight? What does that?
Well, that's a good question, and I'll tell you, I've been in a situation, I've been in the broadcasting industry since I was 15 years old, and clearly I have some other business interests on the side as well, but it is just an awful lot of fun, and I think probably what I enjoy about it more than anything is the freedom. And what I mean by that is on the program that I do, the Conversations program, we have an opportunity to talk to anybody. So one day we might talk to somebody in the entertainment industry, some next day it may be a politician, a business person, or whatever, and it's just a great opportunity. And as I tell people, it's fun. It's broadcasting that's fun, and I enjoy it.
Okay. And as we go into the future, we want to take what you are passionate about and drive that every day. You know, to build our capacity, to continue to serve our community, to look at other agencies that want to have a collaborative effort, to turn to our viewers and our supporters and tell our story, to continue to get support and continue to serve Pensacola and the Gulf Coast.
Thank you all so very much. Kasey, you did a wonderful job. How many pages of the history, 150 some odd pages you put together?
I've just been collecting everything that I could find to just put it all together and try to understand what's been happening here. And a lot of great people have come through here, and a lot of great people are to come. So.
Absolutely. Jill, thank you for all your service. Sandy, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you, Jeff. You're a wonderful asset to WSRE, and great to have you on board.
Thank you so much. Bob, thank you.
Thank you. Looking for another 50 years ahead of us, right?
Can't wait. It's going to be really exciting, but I'm glad it's in your capable hands.
This program will be available on WSRE.org as well as on YouTube, so please feel free to share. And a very special thanks to all of our guests, Sandy Cesaretti, Bob Culkeen, Kasey Jones, Brent Burton, Donna Lymons, and Jill Hubbs. But most especially, thank you, our viewers and supporters. We appreciate you. I do hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Thank you so very much for watching. I'm Jeff Weeks. Take wonderful care of yourself. We'll see you soon.